Happy Sunday morning, everybody. Welcome to the program, such as it is for a Sunday morning. As you all know by now, Sundays are a very informal version of the Intrepid radio program. So I want to welcome you here and thank you for coming along. And just make sure everything is set there with my camera. And how is your Sunday morning so far? I've gotten into the habit of hot brewing my coffee in the mornings, and then I put it in a carafe and I put it in the fridge, and I make iced coffee out of it, and I drink it kind of all day long. Because sometimes when it's really hot outside, I don't feel like, even though it's air conditioned in here, I don't feel like doing a hot brew coffee and drinking hot liquids. So, cheers with my iced coffee this morning. Mm. I hope you have yours. So, welcome to again the Intrepid radio program. It's Sunday morning. It's Sunday, and so it's good to have you here today. There's all kinds of stuff going on out there to talk about. I have to talk about something right at the tip top here, though, that I find myself getting very easily pulled into. Hey, Kenny LaFarve. Good to see it's LaFavor, but I always call him LaFarve in honor of Brett Favre here in Wisconsin. So, how you doing, Kenny? It's good to see you. And JP, good to see you as well. I think they're the only ones in the chat room right now. And there's a bunch of you out there. So come on in if you want to chat this morning. Sundays are always open line as well. You can come in here and you can do all the chatting with me you want to chat about, or chat over in the chat room. And what was I going to say? This thing about politics right now is that how do you balance this out? Because there are things we want to say, things we want to talk about. There's all this stuff going on out there, yet at the same time, it starts to be too much. Are we convincing anybody by the things we say? Am I going to get on here today? Here's a good example. To my sister, Svetlana. If you're listening, I'm just talking specifically of you at the moment, but it's an example for other people. My sister is anti-Trump and pro Kamala Harris. Or I don't know if she's pro Harris as much as she's pro anything but Trump. And I see you as somebody who's a very smart, bright, intelligent person, but you don't like to think beyond the surface of the issues, it seems. And that makes me want to say, what can I say to help convince you of how you're thinking, how you're approaching things? Because I look at stuff like what we're seeing in the news, the media, all the stuff that everybody's bombarded with right now. Right now, you've got Kamala Harris, who, keep in mind, not even 3 months ago, a month ago, the Democrats did not want her in place. They didn't want to take Joe Biden up because they didn't want to put her up. They did not want to run her. And now that whole thing is, we've all seen it, we've all heard it a million times. It's all flip-flopped. So the whole narrative is changing. Instead of this Harris over here that we didn't want, we're going to rewrite that, because it's not about Harris. It's about the Democrats retaining the seat of power. So now they're going to take whoever they've got, and they can't put up a different candidate. When they forced Joe out, there is a narrative out there, and I have not researched it and studied it, so I can't speak of it intelligently. I was listening to a little bit of Tucker Carlson. Oh, my God. Oh, if that's where you're getting your information, no wonder. No, I was listening to some of what he had to say, and not very long, only a couple of minutes worth, but there is a narrative out there that is sourced that talks about how Obama colluded with Pelosi and Schumer and others in the hierarchy of the Democrat Party to push Joe out. And in so doing, and Obama didn't want Kamala Harris in. There's other sources for that all along the way. And why would he matter anyway? Um, you hear the news media and everybody, all the pundits saying, well, the Republicans didn't vote on this in Congress because Trump told them what to vote. But they won't tell you that Obama's doing kind of the same thing over behind the scenes on his side. So if you start looking at this and you say, when I was a kid, what's the old Bible verse from the Apostle Paul wrote? When I was a child, I thought as a child, I ate as a child, I think, I thought as a child, and I enacted as a child. He says, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. And that's where he's encouraging the followers. So don't drink the breast milk of the faith. He says, eat the meat of the faith. That was the word picture he was using. When I was a child, I did things like a child. When I became an adult, I did things as an adult. When I first started out in observing politics and voting and things like that, I was 19 years old. And I thought like a 19-year-old. I had some ideas and I had some things that I believed, but that's the way I work. Now, 40 years later, plus, now I'm 63, and the way I think about politics and view the world and view what's going on out there in a very different light. I'm one that says, I can't just think by the seat of my pants anymore, or what tickles my ears, or what makes me feel good. I'm stuck, and Professor Bauer can attest to this, and Jason can attest to this, if you've ever heard them talk on this show. And all of you who think can attest to the same thing, is that it's not fun anymore. It's not fun and childish games. Oh, one man, one vote. I'm going to go out and do my voting, and rah, rah for my candidate and boo for yours. And now it's become this convoluted mess of, once you peel back the upper layer of saying, this is how I used to see things, I'm going to dig in and peel back that layer, you start to see all this stuff underneath that's going on. That doesn't mean there's not good people out there that are running. It does not mean there's not bad people. I can tell you, as much as I support Trump, there's things I don't like about Trump. As much as I don't like Kamala Harris, there's nothing I can speak of highly about her, other than to say, like Joe Rogan even said, she's an intelligent person. Obviously, she wouldn't be in the position she's in if she's not smart, or at least intelligent. She can look good. She could probably make decisions within her framework that are good for her and her people and her followers and the people who think like her. The question is, do we want somebody who has her political ideology in office? And now, can she public speak? No. But remember, they criticized George W. Bush for not being able to speak in public very well either. And that's okay. So the question is, what is it you want in office? So I look at things like, again, my sister, sorry if you're listening. I'm not ragging on you here, sis, but I am saying, people that think like my sister, you're going with the surface issues. Oh, Donald Trump lied about this or did that. Or Kamala Harris, she's a woman and she's black and she'll take us places. But that's as far as you go and as deep as you go. Do you ever go for the deep dive and say, what's actually going on underneath? So when it comes to me wanting to present things and things that I believe and things that I believe we should all consider, after a while, it starts getting muddy and cluttered, and you're looked at, and people, only because people will look at you and say, how can you always talk about that? You're just condemning one side and praising another. Well, I think that there in this particular election, I think that there is a side that's going to do what is right for the country, and I think there's a side that's going to do what's right for particular groups within the country, but not necessarily right for the country overall to keep moving forward to solve problems. So I said to my sister in a post she put up, the I'm with her Kamala Harris thing or whatever. I said that's great. I said where does Kamala stand on the economy? Where does she stand on the border? Where does she stand on immigration? Where does she stand on inflation? Where is she on the issues that are affecting people that want to vote? How many people out there, and I'm asking you guys, how many people out there if you got an answer for this, let me know. How many people do you think are voting in this next election with full knowledge of why they're voting, or those that are voting because I'm voting to go along with this particular social issue? I know everybody on the left, the big caterwaul is everybody that votes for Trump is in the cult of Trump. And I would say, wow, you guys better watch out what you're saying there. What's a cult? Hey, Heather White. Hi, me and Kellum are watching. He's dying for you to say hello to him again. Well, you tell him he's got to call in this morning. And Kellum, how you doing? I can't see you out there, but I know you're sitting there over there in Scotland. So good morning to you. I'm on the TV in Heather's room. All right, Callum. Good to see you, little man. You should call in with your mom today. So I hope you're having a good day. So yes, Susie Q, there it is. I'm all for that. Trump, MAGA 2024. Now, I'll tell you something. I'll share this with you. I saw Trump say some things today. It might have been from yesterday that I didn't like. It kind of made me cringe a little bit. Does it mean he's lost my vote? No. It means I don't necessarily go along with everything he says or everything he does. I don't know who he was speaking to. I just happened to see the clip, and I'm thinking it's just from the last couple of days because I've never seen it before. But he's talking about God. And for me to listen to Donald Trump talk about God, talk about Jesus Christ, it makes me take a step back. Only because not because I have a problem with those things in general, but it comes across to me as this is not the same man that I have heard talk and the way he talks about things and the way he approaches life in general. Now, could almost getting his head shot off, does that mean that he might not have had my cat's doing something over there, sorry, making all kinds of noise, bumping into things. Cat. And so does that mean did he have an epiphany when he realized I might have died up there? Is he somebody that does not know the lingo of praising God or worshiping God or Jesus Christ, which when I hear these things talked about, they sound so religious right to me that they sound sing-songy, or they don't sound as genuine as I'd like it to be, and it made me cringe. Now, he might be being genuine, but I saw him say everything. He says, how did he say it? He says, you cannot be defeated. And he wasn't talking about the election. He was talking about defeat in life in general. And he's got that kind of little smirk on his face. I think because he's a little uncomfortable with it himself, being able to figure out how am I going to say this the right way. But we all know Trump, he doesn't really think that way. He just says what he says. But I think he puts things into his head. Susie Q, there you go. Probably just got saved. LOL. Yeah. Have you ever heard a new convert to Christianity. I have over the years many times. And they don't know anything about the faith. Like I mentioned, the Apostle Paul, the milk of the word or the meat of the word. Think like a child or think like an adult. And perhaps this was a point where Trump said, I could have died. Maybe I need to check what I really believe about, I'm getting older. My life isn't eternal. And now somebody tried to shoot me in the head. Maybe I should talk to God. And listen to the casual reply, Rocky Mountain High. So maybe this is what Trump is. Maybe he is a late convert to actually really believing this. Where before, like, admit it, folks, even if you're one of them, most Christianity out there, I'm a Christian because I went to church when I was a kid. Thank you for playing. I went to Christian because my parents were a Christian. I was raised in a Christian household. Thank you for playing. There are biblical prescriptions for what makes a Christian. And I'll bet you 99% of the people who claim to be Christians don't even know what those are. So, I think when I heard Trump say that, and then he commented and he even mentioned the name of Jesus Christ, which I looked at that and I said, you can believe that genuinely. The founders never said that you could not enter into high office in our country and not bring a faith with you. That was never a prescription. The founders did talk about, though, this whole separation of church and state thing. It was kind of a twofold thing that worked with each other. It was a bit symbiotic, you could say, is that the separation of powers or the separation of church and state is to protect the state from becoming religious and becoming a theocracy, but at the same time it's to protect the individual, that the state cannot tell you what to believe. And they work around each other. Does that mean you have to elect an atheist into office? An atheist is a believer. An atheist is just somebody who says, well, no God for me. That's what they choose. So a secular society, doesn't matter how deeply you believe in God or Jesus Christ or the Holy Spirit or anything like that, you have to govern in a secular manner. Otherwise, you become a theocracy. And then, Christians, we always asked ourselves back when I was in it, is that what God wants us to do? Does God want us to not? No, I don't think so. My interpretation was always God wants the individual to honor him. And I answered this question to somebody the other day. I said, remember that very famous scene where the Sadducees, the members of the Sanhedrin, all that, they were in the crowd and Jesus is talking. They're asking him about, well, do you believe we should pay taxes to Rome? Should we honor Caesar? And Jesus' very famous answer. He said, who's got a coin? Somebody tosses him a coin. He says, whose image is on this coin? They'll say, Caesar's. He tosses the coin back to him and says, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God. Simple answer. All he was saying is, if you have to pay taxes to Caesar and honor your government, do it. He says, but then give what belongs to God is your heart. You give your heart to God, you give your taxes to Caesar. That was his simple answer with much deeper implications, obviously. Yeah, there you go, Josh Kemp. It's the simple, plain fact of the state not starting a religion. That's it. That's separations of powers. So when I hear Donald Trump say what he says, his critics are going to jump on. He even said, He says, "Oh yeah, I am already waiting to hear the criticism because I said, I depend that how did he put it? Is that you are undefeatable because of him?" He said, and he points up. And yep, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, JP. That's right. So, whose coin? Who do you pay taxes to? Caesar's on the coin. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. The God what belongs to God. So here's Donald Trump, who sounds like somebody who perhaps because of his experience at nearly being killed, that it made him think. It's not like I'm going to go into seclusion now for the rest of my life and live on an island. No, it's like he's going to be out there. There's going to be other attempts. And there's going to be other people that want to shoot him in the head. There are people now that you interview them on the street that are sorry that he didn't get killed. That's the kind of stupid people that are out there. And you ask them why. When I listen to people talk about, oh, I hate Donald Trump and this and that, I go, well, what has he done to you that makes you hate him? They can't come up with anything. Not usually off the top of their head. They got to go Google, why should I hate Donald Trump? As a matter of fact, I've done that the other way around. I've said the other day I was looking up things on Kamala Harris. What are the points? Why does the right? I didn't put it that way. I said, what are the bullet points, or what are the points for the reason Kamala Harris is not a good choice for president? Okay, I put in something like that because I wanted to see what are their bullet points? What are they saying? I know what they are. But I did this as an experiment. I went to Google and did that. And I worded it several different ways to make sure I am looking for the negative shit on Kamala Harris without saying it that way. But every single a link that came up had to do with why Kamala Harris was the best thing since sliced bread. And the only negatives were like why the right is so wrong in disliking Kamala Harris, kind of thing. And it's like it's stacked against Trump and it's stacked for Harris. This is what you get when you've got a country where a month ago they didn't like Kamala Harris. Not even her own party liked her. And keep in mind, you could count on one hand the number of delegates that Kamala Harris got in the 2020 primary and then take away 5 of them. None. 0. Zip. Nobody supported her. Suddenly now, she's got all the delegates she needs. She is the presumptive. So, and then all the stuff, and it angered me until I realized, it's angering me because they're poking at the people who don't think any deeper. But and of course, your mind goes there sometimes naturally. She was making fun of Donald Trump saying he's not going to debate her. Well, what she doesn't say, which is what the Democrats and the left naturally do, is they don't give you the whole story in the context. Trump wasn't going to debate her because he didn't know she was going to be the actual candidate yet, even though he was pretty sure and he probably knew, well, she's going to be the candidate. But until she is actually brought in as the candidate, I have no reason to debate her. And she's like, oh, he's chicken. He won't debate me, and she gets up there with this haughty, oh, he's just not going to debate me because he knows he can't win. It's like, you sorry piece of excrement. That is not what he's saying. And it's politics. It's the political game. And they like to use that for their followers to show them, see, the big guy, Donald Trump, can't even debate me. Well, now he's accepted. But he says, let's keep the original date, September 4th. He says, but where Biden called the shots last time, he says, let's have a Fox News, just like they had CNN for the first debate. Let's have Fox News. And rather than a no audience, let's do it in a stadium. Let's have a stadium and let's debate open, without notes, and with Fox moderating. And now the word is she's stepping away from that. She doesn't want to do that. So let me ask you all, just on a political basis, do you think Kamala Harris will be able to hold her own with Donald Trump if she's not allowed an earpiece, not allowed notes, not allowed teleprompters? JP says, food for thought. How similar is a lot of the rhetoric to when Sleepy Joe hung out in his basement and refused to debate? Same thing. Same kind of rhetoric. And the thing is, Donald Trump isn't refusing to debate. He pretty much just said, not right now. Let's wait and see what happens. And I don't think anybody here think Donald Trump is afraid to debate Kamala Harris. Hey, Unleashed Jeremy Hansen. Good to see you. And for those of you who've slipped in, if I haven't said good morning, Professor Bauer, I think I talked about you or to you, but I didn't say good morning. Josh Kemp, good to see you. Susie Q, always good to see you. Jeremy Hansen, Jason Patrick. Who else we got in here in the chat room? Heather White, of course. You're still sitting over there. I hope you're still sitting over there in Scotland. I know for those of you like Heather who are in Scotland, a lot of this politics, that's the United States. But keep in mind what happens in the United States affects the world. And I will bet you, Heather, over there in Scotland, that people have formed an opinion about the United States based on the presidency, based on who's the president, based on what they do and how they act. So stick with it here. This isn't all we're going to talk about today, but I'm getting in kind of deep into the convoluted messiness just on a surface level here this morning. I can get a lot deeper than this. Professor Bauer, perk your ears up, because there's something I saw that I want to ask you about that ties into all of this. I saw, of all people, and I didn't expect this coming from him. It was old man moment, brain synapse moment. What the hell is his name? I was just talking about him. Talking about the globalists all the time, got sued and all that, and what the hell? Why am I slipping on his name now? And I'm not slipping on. I just can't. It's right there. You know who I'm talking about? He had his InfoWars and why can't I think of his name? God damn it. InfoWars is who the hell was it? Alex Jones. Good grief. How did I slip on Alex Jones's name? Is this what it's like to be old? Oh, I can't imagine where I'll be 20 years from now. So, Alex Jones, I saw him, and Professor Bauer, this is what I want to get your ear on. You too, Jason, and anybody else who wants to pitch in on this. He was talking about, of all things, and I watched this for about 5 minutes yesterday. I said, wow, I have got to revisit this. Talking about consciousness of some sort and how we are all, and he was speaking very intelligently about this stuff. And I can't even speak cogently to it by just wanting to reference it. If I could find the clip, I'd play it. Let's see. Well, I can't really play it because I got to download it first. But um, let's see if I can tell you what he was saying. Alex Jones on consciousness, and yeah, let me type this in. Let's see if this comes up. Alex Jones. God doesn't know where he came from. Alex Jones. He's explaining the nature of consciousness. All right. He give you a basic gestalt. He says gestalt, however you want to say it. I am going to see if I can download this and play this clip for us this morning because not caring about my monetization, I want because I want you to hear this and I want to get your take on it. And Alex Jones is that guy that everybody kind of, well, some people really like listening to him. Other people kind of laugh. Oh, it's Alex Jones. Okay, it's letting me download it, which means I should be able to upload it once it's downloaded. It's going to take a few minutes because it's pretty big. But I like what Professor Bauer's saying here. He says, she'll fail up, cackling her way out like Sloppy Joe. Another revelatory moment for the sleeple. Yep. So yeah, I don't need a strike. You know what they'll do here, Susie Q. When they strike me with copyright, all they do is they say, "Oh, we can't monetize this episode." So because I'm taking it from somewhere else, so it won't be a strike, but it'll be the only I've gotten one hard strike on my YouTube, and that was when I was delivering medical disinformation, which is a bunch of hooey. You're listening to that, YouTube dumbasses? That's a bunch of ridiculousness to say that people on your platform, which is not a publisher, it's a platform, can't talk about things. Alex Jones. Yeah, there it is. There must be a little bit of a lapse here. Yeah, Alex Jones was the guy I was looking for, Professor Bauer. So everyone likes to talk, says Jeremy Hansen, about when Alex Jones was wrong, but they never talk about when he was right. Exactly. So they took my whole channel because of that, brother. Jeremy, what did they take? What was it? Just a topic. What kind of topics were you talking about that they took your channel down? Was it because it was political talk? Was it misinformation talk, as what they call misinformation? I'm curious why they took yours down. So, medical. Okay, yeah, the medical junk. There it is. And now we find that most of the stuff you probably talked about is correct. So, you know what I don't like about YouTube taking down your channel? I look at my channel. I've got nearly 2,000 archived episodes. And see, Jeremy had on an Australian doctor that was spot on, and YouTube took him down and demonetized his channel, took his channel down because they said he was disseminating misinformation. So, Susie Q, I'm not presenting any. All I was concerned about in playing this clip was not the content of the clip. It was the fact that I'm playing somebody else's clip. And they'll demonetize my episode because I don't have copyright, on it. We're going to give the copyright to the owner of that. So I don't think the content is bad at all as far as misinformation. It's somebody talking about consciousness, and I thought it was very interesting stuff. And it's almost downloaded, so I might be able to play it. It's 6 minutes long, and I think I can play it and maybe pause it as we're going if we want to comment on it. I think it's worth listening to, and I want to get your take on this. So I'm not talking about medical misinformation or anything like that. He's talking about spirituality in this, if you will, consciousness, being tuned in. He's talking about how they don't want people to be tuned into this, the they being the ubiquitous they that want to control from a spiritual plane what's going on. So he's talking about the demonic. You're supposed to be able to, Steph. Nice to see you, Steph. How was Sturgis? So let's see. I'm going to see if I can pull this video in, and it might start playing right away. But let me see. Videos. I can add a video clips. Here we go. Let's see if I can add this. What's it called? So I can find Alex Jones. It's actually titled Add a Video Clip. Let's find Alex Jones in my downloads. We'll go to date added. Alex Jones. Downloads, date created. All right, I got to go find out where it went here. Hang on. Show and Finder. There we go. It's right there. It's in my it's in a different folder. Okay. It's in the folder for the software that I use to download it. I'm going to see if I can just click it and drag it in here. Then I don't have to go look it up. Right there, Alex Jones. We're going to put him here. See if it adds him. No, it's not. I got to go find it. All right. Let's just type in Alex Jones. Right there. Okay. I'm going to add this piece. It might start playing by itself, in which case I'll do a quick pause on it. But let me open it up here, at least. Okay, it's uploading into my broadcasting program here. I want to see what you guys think of this. Professor Bauer, I want to pique your ears. I listened to this and I immediately thought of you and said, I want to get your opinions on this. I want to see what your take is. If you speed up the voice and stop and talk over it, you can get away with it. I just saw someone showing how to get away with it on YouTube so you don't get copyrighted. Yeah, if I stop it or we talk over it, yeah, I've done some of that in the past, and I haven't been hit for music pieces. When they started hitting me for my opening music on the show, and they started going back 4 years, some of them didn't get hit because I was talking over them. So it was playing in the background. So let's see where this goes, and because I think this is interesting. Okay, it's almost ready, and if it starts up, I'm going to pause it. It's almost uploaded. Here we go. It's spinning. It's processing, as they say in Canada. And he's explaining the nature of consciousness. And I want to see what you think of this. So everybody get your ears perked up. Get ready for little Alex Jones. Boy, maybe by playing Alex Jones, I'll be censured. Because YouTube doesn't like Alex Jones. I think they'd love him because he brings money in. So it's spinning. Let's see what happens. He's on Joe Rogan's show. And by the way, did you see the clip I saw? Tulsi Gabbard came up and said MSNBC has been nailed. Okay, here we go. All right, it's in here. I can just show it at will here. Tulsi Gabbard was talking about how MSNBC edited things that Joe Rogan said in an interview he was doing with somebody to make it sound like he was supporting Kamala Harris. Now, they've since taken it down, but they edited it all up where he's saying she's a bright woman, she's an intelligent woman, she's this and that, and she's going to win, he said. But he went on to say she's going to win if everybody doesn't open their eyes, kind of thing, you know. And it's interesting that MSNBC, a news station, did this. Okay, getting to this consciousness thing. I'm going to play this now. Perk up your ears and see what you think of this. Here we go. Alex Jones.
Let me give you a basic gestalt. We live in a third-dimensional plane. We can see the planets, the galaxies, the suns, hundreds of billions of galaxies photographed, universes. We live in an amazing space-time continuum. And we're on this planet, and Einstein's physics showed it, Max Planck's physics showed it, there's at least 12 dimensions. And now that's why all the top scientists and billionaires are coming out saying it's a false hologram. It is artificial. The computers are scanning it and finding tension points where it's artificially projected and gravity's bleeding in to this universe. That's what they call dark matter.
There's Joe Rogan.
So we're like a thought or a dream that's a wisp in some computer program, some God's mind, whatever. They're proving it all. It's all coming out. So we're on this planet, the third dimension, which is a launch pad to all the other dimensions below and above. The third dimension, all the mathematics shows, is the primal sea of where all this happens. And the Earth's like an egg, and we've got all this potentiality. Now, there's like this sub-transmission zone below the third dimension that's just turned over to the most horrible things, is what it resonates to. And it's trying to get up into the third dimension that's just a basic level consciousness to launch into the next levels. And our species is already way up in the fifth, sixth dimension, consciously our best people. But there's this big war trying to like basically destroy humanity because humanity has free will, and there's a decision to which level we want to go to. We have free will, so evil's allowed to come and contend, not just good. It's people who are psychically, genetically available to interface in this incredibly diverse universe with all these dimensions above and below and all around us, with consciousnesses. And the truth is, no energy is ever destroyed. It all continues on. The truth is, our bodies, this is a fact, are a communal hive organism of all of our ancestors and all of their race memories, but not in just some compressed epigenetic system. It's beyond that. It's an electrochemical antenna, they've proven this, that connects to higher and lower dimensions. So our bodysuit, because our predecessors wouldn't put us in a position without giving us a bodysuit that is them. Our families are loving us. They're holding us. They're wrapped all around us. Their strength, their will, their bad, their good, their sins, the good things they did, the battles they won, the battles they lost, the woman they loved, the man they loved. It's all in us, all these people. It's why we're able to look into so many things and have so many different experiences. The elite are all about transcendence and living forever and the secrets of the universe, and they want to know all this. Some are good, some are bad, some are a mix. And so all the shaman, all the ancient religions, everybody says there are the good ones and there are the bad ones. But the good ones don't ever want to organize. The bad ones tend to want to organize because they lust after power. And people are interfacing. So you say, where does it begin? From the Tibetans to the Mesoamericans to the Egyptians to the Druids to every ancient society describes the same thing. There are bad things that look like elves that have horns when they show you who they really are. And there are good things, but they don't contact you unless you contact them. And then they're almost not even concerned with what you're doing. Powerful consciousnesses don't want to dominate other people. They want to empower them, so they don't tend to get together until things are really late in the game. Then they come together. Evil's always defeated because good is so much stronger. The elites believe.
Can you all hear my voice?
In the third dimension that we're mainly receiving transmissions. Ships don't arrive from Alpha Centauris or Gedi Prime or wherever they're coming from.
So,
or Betelgeuse.
Hopefully you can hear me talking over this.
They come here through interdimensional gates that are much closer, through fold space.
Okay,
so
good, Jeremy. Thank you.
We have to discuss the different influences that are in the universe and on the fact that we have free will and we decide what we want. I don't believe in any of this.
Because I'm not as loud as Alex Jones.
I'm simply telling you what the elites believe. I never bought into this, looked into it. But then I began to think about, what did I hear when I was a kid? What did I see? What was coming out in government documents? What was being admitted? When I read all these books about World War II and the Nazis and Hitler obsessed with the Dalai Lama and the Tibetans and what they were able to do without drugs to interface with this, and all the rituals they would do, and how they would believe that beyond the ether, like at Skull and Bones, it's a German death cult, they do rituals and take drugs to talk to the goddesses. Well, they're just appearing as, sexy, beautiful women. Bones, it's whatever you want as these spirit guides, because lower entities will come in and violate your free will. God and his angels, which are below him, will not get involved in your everyday life. They will not manipulate your free will unless you ask them in. But then the devil masquerades as an angel of light. And the elites themselves believe they're racing using human technology to try to take our best minds and build some type of breakaway civilization where they're going to merge with machines, transcend, and break away from the failed species that is man, which is kind of like a false transmission, because they're thinking what they are is ugly and bad, projecting it onto themselves instead of believing, no, it's a human test about building us up. And God will send out a transmission for a larger plan, but evil's willing to come in. And what does it say? Demoralize, get rid of children, don't have kids. Humans are bad. We'll be better once you're all gone. And it's because it's their operational mission for whatever reason that we'll understand later what's going on. And so Google was set up 18, 19 years ago. I knew about this before it was declassified. I'm just saying I have good sources, that they wanted to build a giant artificial system. And Google believes that the first artificial intelligence will be a supercomputer based on the neuron activities of the hive mind of humanity, with billions of people wired into it with the Internet of Things. And so all of our thoughts go into it, and we're actually building a computer that has real neurons in real time, that's also psychically connected to us, that are organic creatures, so that they will have current prediction powers, future prediction powers, a true crystal ball. But the big secret is, once you have a crystal ball and know the future, you can add stimuli beforehand and make decisions that control the future. And so then it's the end of consciousness and free will for individuals, as we know, and a true 2.0 in a very bad way, hive mind consciousness with an AI jacked into everyone, knowing our hopes and dreams, delivering it to us, not in some PKD wirehead system where we plug in and give up on consciousness because of unlimited pleasure, but because we were already wired in and absorbed before we knew it, by giving over our consciousness to this system by our daily decisions that it was able to manipulate and control into a larger system. But like the Bible tells you, any pharmakia or any of that always leads to destruction, because only evil is going to come through that way. So we're basically have these light sockets. We can't jack into the higher unless it's our free will, and that takes time. We jack in to the evil. So you can jack into evil, you can't jack into good right away. So it's quicker, it's easier, like Yoda says about Darth Vader. Quicker, easier, more seductive. We're made in the image of our Creator. Our brain is able to tune into the lowest dimension, the highest dimension. Humans are basically really powerful creatures that can live right close to suns. They're highly radioactive. Nothing else can live this close. We have very short lives because we're like a hive organism that actually lives second to second in the space-time continuum. It's like 100 years. It's a second. And we transmit our data up to be able to live next to, like, these Stargate jump gates that are suns. So because we live so close to these suns, we only have like milliseconds to be alive. So we're actually a hive organism that keeps transmitting up to the next species in our hierarchical system, and then down below us. So we're alive right now in this continuum, and we're trying to progress and make things better. And the elites are trying to make sure that we don't dial into that incredible knowledge we've got as a species and basically die as a species, so that we're not.
Okay, I'll just take that down right there. We're about 3/4 of the way through it. So we'll see what kind of hit I get on that, and they may make me take it down. So yeah, I need a Rumble. I've got a Rumble. I just haven't done it yet. I haven't set it up. So I was thinking of doing that to see if we could pull out of YouTube and have a little more freedom to do things. But it's a cool platform, I hear. So I'm going to have to go over there. I've got one, just haven't set it all up. So now the stream was playing over on, I believe it's playing on YouTube. I'm sorry, on Instagram and on Facebook. So hopefully I didn't play a little too much. That was a 6-minute clip. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what the fallout is of playing some of that. But what are your thoughts on some of the things he was talking about? Wow, they popped him. They popped me. So I don't know. It says I'm still playing. Am I still showing up over on YouTube? Can you guys see the stream? Oh, it's still saying unavailable. That's interesting. So here, if I go to my own home here, my channel, and if I hit it, stream unavailable, suspended for policy violations. There you go. There it is. So let's see what happens if I refresh it. Reload. Stream unavailable. All right, it's still telling me I'm unavailable. Suspended for policy violations. Well, let's do this. Let's go. I'm going to do this. Give me 2 minutes, folks, and check back here. I'm going to put up a new stream, but I won't get rid of this one yet. Stay right here. I'll give you a new link here. Well, I don't know if I can do that and still broadcast and set up a new link. So, there, it's playing now. There you go. Refresh your YouTube and it's playing. They probably blocked it because it was playing too long. Okay, good. All right, I was playing too much Alex Jones. So there we are. I'll deal with the fallout from that. The fallout's going to be you got a copyright hit anyway on this video, and we're going to demonetize it. That's all it's going to be. I'll see if they've even emailed me on it yet. Hold on, let's find out. Blah 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 blah. Reload. I'm just going to see right now if I've already gotten the hit. No, not yet. So we'll see what happens. I'll just call Joe Rogan and ask him to give me permission. So we'll see what he says about that. Promoting your show, Joe. Is it okay that we play that clip? So anyway, you got the idea of what we were looking at and what kind of impressed me by what he was saying. And I want to get your take. And there's Professor Bauer. Let's find out. How you doing?
I'm doing, and clearly you're doing. I was so pleased to see that you canceled yourself without any of my help.
I didn't even need you.
You didn't need me, and
I don't need your help.
You got clipped.
I have to put a filter over the video and stop every 30 seconds and discuss. Oh, yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. I got to bring the video in a different way because I don't think I had the ability. It didn't show me any pausing tools. If I'd have stopped the video, I don't think I could have picked up where I left off. Let me just look. Hold on a second.
Let me give you a basic
Yeah. Yeah. So I just hit it again just to see, and it started right over at the beginning instead of where I left off. There's no pause. So there you go. We'll see how much trouble I get in. I might not be in any trouble at all. It might just be, hey, we pulled that. You went too long with an outside stream of that other than yours, and we're not going to be able to monetize your episode. Claudette says it just got on just in time to see YouTube attack. Well, when it really comes down to it, I violated YouTube policy. So I expected that might happen, but now we know. I can't play a 6-minute clip. Well, 4 minutes before it started going hinky. So there you go. Nick Beto gets called out sometimes, even though he's analyzing songs.
That's
Yeah.
Rick Beato, and he is definitely, if you're into music in any way, shape, or form, you got to follow that man. I think he's close to 5 million subs,
Well,
and he's
hey,
killing it on
is
knowledge.
if I do this, is that copyright violation now? Because I've shared a book that's sitting on my desk. So if I do this and I read it and I say, as time passed and blah blah blah, and I start reading that, am I in copyright violation? Well, I've read out of books on this show before that are not mine. Why is that not considered a copyright violation? But it's a copyright violation if you play a video that's already public on their site. That's what I don't understand. It has to do with who's making the copyright pennies. So it's not about playing somebody else's content. It's about who gets the money for playing their content. So, and I get that. I get that from a business point of view. I don't have a problem with that as much as I have a problem when YouTube will censure you for saying something they don't want you to say. That's different than saying, oh, you got a copyright hit because you're playing somebody else's video and they're not going to get their pennies off of it. You are. We got to make sure that doesn't happen. Might be about Alex Jones. I'll bet you I could put up, I don't know, John Denver and play a clip of his song for 4 minutes, and the same thing probably would happen because it's somebody else's video. Somebody else is supposed to be able to monetize that, and they can't pay me for it, so they got to do that. Yeah, AI doesn't have access to all the books in digital form yet. It's only smart enough to analyze the digital content. There it is. Yeah. So there it is. I just did a big no-no, and I feel like a rebel. Where's my sunglasses? Oh, well. Anyway, let's move on from that because I don't think it's a big deal. They're just gonna tell me they can't monetize this episode. So, let me ask you a question, Professor.
Mm-hmm.
Can you restate some of what he was talking about, this gestalt that he was talking about consciousness? Now, we only have 3 hours left, so be careful. No, I'm kidding.
You're the one pushing the buttons.
Yeah. Give us a little bit. You heard what his content was. And I was very curious about that when I first listened to it. And those of you who didn't hear it, I'll go this far even. I will give you a link to be able to find that yourself. It's right here. I think if I just paste this right here. Yeah, there it is. If you want to go listen to that link, it's a Joe Rogan link of Alex Jones talking about all this consciousness stuff. There's the link. I pasted it in. And you guys can go listen to it if you want to catch up. From what you heard of that, Professor, and I want to do you a little bit of honor here because we tease you a lot and we have fun and we talk, is that you are literally in the first 10 seconds I was listening to this clip yesterday, I went, I got to get Professor Bauer's take on this. I know this is going someplace that he has looked into more than I have. So what are your thoughts, your general thoughts on this?
Let me put it into some context.
Okay.
First of all, as you mentioned, I think actually somebody, it might have been JP or Jeremy, said, they don't talk about all the times that he was right as far as Alex Jones is concerned.
That's true.
And it's very true. And it's been a purposeful part of the misdirection and the packaging that people have put over this general category called conspiracy theorists. And right now, if you pay any attention to that field, those guys are killing it. Remember the Dave Chappelle when he had his series on and he had that one character, it was some cokehead, and he's got coke all over his face and he's scratching himself and he says, y'all got any more of those conspiracy theories? I'm all out.
Nice.
So that having some internet issues if I'm freezing.
Yeah, you phased in a little bit
Yeah.
in and out there. You're back.
We had a little problem with that last night on our two shows. But so Alex, in my opinion, and this is all my own personal speculation, just like everything and anything is that we all speculate and get some kind of perspective on. Alex is right on most of it.
Okay.
The term that's used is ontological. And ontological is essentially the meaning is a metaphysical understanding of the universe and that it's all consciousness.
Okay.
That I agree with him on. Everything is consciousness. Everything exists because of consciousness. Everything is the result of if we have no consciousness, then we don't exist in this physical reality that we inhabit. So the question is what's the nature, characteristics, habits, and attributes of this thing called consciousness? There are endless learned discussions and scholarly debates on the how and the why and the who. That's why we have all these theologies, philosophies, scientisms
Yes.
floating about trying to describe the reality we inhabit.
And by the way, before you go further, I just want to make one little comment about the Instagram. Steph Cuervo Queen, can you tell me who Murphy Slaw is? Is that like coleslaw? Anyway, go ahead.
So my view of reality is that everything starts from consciousness. It's basically the first of the 7 Hermetic principles, which are attributed to Thoth and Hermes
Right.
Trismegistus and all of the ancient.
You're going way back to the basics on this.
Yeah, well, this is
the basics of the higher level stuff.
Well, it's what was thought of a long time ago and written down a long time ago, and it's
like I say about Glenn Livett. It's the high rung of the lower part of the extension ladder. So,
except the 18-year-olds and the 25-year archive is to die for. But I haven't seen
when
that.
you start getting up into then you start moving up the rungs of the ladder on the upper part of the extension ladder.
That's right.
Okay.
So,
anyway,
if indeed everything is consciousness, what we know is what we observe with that consciousness. And that consciousness has characteristics that are common and consistent and definable, repeatable, and observable. And we can see that consciousness is always on, apparently, because we're always on. We see that it's always in motion. There's always, don't even think about it from a direction perspective. It's always in motion. There's always more of it. So it's constantly creating, and it's apparently has this proclivity for novelty, for something that's always new, because the more of it there is, the more newness there is. How, why, who knows, but you can observe it. We all see the same thing.
Yes.
So if it's always in motion, consciousness is always in motion. It's always creating more, apparently seeking novelty, or just has a habit of going after and creating new. Then, okay, well, how is that expressed? How do we see that? Well, we see it through this thing called energy. And energy seems to be the common characteristic that we all experience in the reality that we inhabit and the consciousness we engage with. Well, okay, even physics, the quantum folks, and going back a few hundred years of Kozyrev and these, even into the mystery schools, the Blavatskys, the Steiners, the Rosicrucians, the Masonics, the going all the way back to the Egyptian mystery schools, they all talk about the same thing. They all have the common characteristics. That's one of the things that Jones was going on about how all of these civilizations all have this common thread. They all have this common set of things that apparently they attribute to the reality we inhabit. Well, if we just stay simple, if it's everything's consciousness, it's always in motion, it's always in a creation mode, it's always seeking novelty, or at least manifesting novelty. How does it do it? It does it through energy. What is energy? Energy expresses itself in frequencies. And apparently there's an infinite field of these frequencies of energy, which then creates the materium we inhabit.
Okay.
It also creates the individual frequency stamp signature that we manifest into this materium.
Now let me, can I rush you a little bit? I'm going to
Yeah.
bum rush you on all of this stuff and say,
Oh, wait a minute.
the
Hold
stuff
on. Let me
Alex-
pull my shorts up. Okay.
Okay. The stuff that, yeah, the stuff Alex Jones was talking about, this whole, where he starts getting into just beyond the, if you will, pardon this, I'm not trying to diminish it by using them, but the theories you're putting forward, they may be absolute truths, but let's house it that way. The theories you're talking about consciousness, about all of this, he's gone over now into here. He's gone like a step further than what you've been describing so far, talking about almost like, let me simplify it, like saying there are beings or entities or forces, however you want to house that exist, that it's almost like he's calling those things, that is God. That is God and angels, or God and whatever. And then there's the evil, and that all of this is what we're seeing against a universe that has been, in a sense, projected there. And humanity is. What I got out of this, he's saying humanity is the only thing. It's the only focal point. It's the only, because all the rest is spiritual goodness, darkness, lightness, evil, whatever you want to call it, that's trying to affect us to believe or enact in certain ways. Because he's saying there's this darkness that's trying to prevail. What do we think? What do we do with all of that? Is consciousness, is this a thing that exists outside of theological light or dark, good or bad? Or is consciousness, is it a thing that exists whether those things, we recognize those things or not? So this is what I'm trying to get at with what I heard him say without me studying it any deeper. And I've never really taken the deep dives like you have. I just superficially deal with this stuff and talk about it on radio like I know it. So
that's what we all do, though.
That's why you're here.
That's why I'm here, because I think I
decipher what I just posed.
Yes.
As kind of a question. Okay.
Yes. So, first of all, yes, consciousness is outside of our existence in the material form. We are a part of consciousness because we are created from consciousness. So we have a separate consciousness stream of which we are that frequency stamp, that unique signature that makes us the individuals we are. But we are that way because of consciousness, because that's how consciousness is. We experience the same characteristics, attributes, and nature and habits of what we observe as consciousness within our own being. However, where I differ with what Jones was saying, and to try to answer your question, the delineation of good versus evil, there's evil spirits, there's good spirits, there's angels, demons, and God knows what else, throwing it into your paranormal world.
Right.
There's all these spiritual entities that are nothing more than other expressions of the infinite field of frequencies of energy of consciousness. It's that simple to me. Now, the good and the evil thing, those are just the different polarities of energy, the yin and the yang, in my view.
Okay.
The good and the evil characterizations that we put on it are a material construct of the way that we experience and observe consciousness. So is there good and evil in the universe? I don't think so. I think there are cycles
Okay.
within cycles that manifest, depending on one's perspective, to either be a negative or a positive.
What is then, okay, a really old question on the very basics. What is then the nature of good and evil? Where does that come from? Do we manifest? We create the good and the evil? Does the good and the evil exist outside us, attempting to, does it come from over here and attempt to control us here? Trying to win? Is there a great battle in the heavens that we've always learned theologically? Great battle in the heavens, and sometimes that had nothing to do with humanity. It was pre-humanity, if you look at some of the older stories. But is there this great conflict out there that's trying to win the day or win the universe? Or is that all a construct?
I think that it is a characteristic of the materium that we
Okay.
inhabit. So let's go back to the aliens and the all the different manifestations of what we call the spirit world, right? All of that is just another aspect of the infinite field of energies that create the materium that we inhabit. The aliens, the space aliens, the extraterrestrials, whatever, from it doesn't matter, and unless you start talking about astral projection and spiritual essence of seeing a spiritual body or seeing the energy field of it. There seems to be a habit in the materium that we've observed that that consciousness has a predilection for a humanoid form.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if it's reptilians or if it's Dracos or Palladians or Archons or whatever, or Greys or Vrills or you name it. Every one of them has a common construct of a humanoid form. They have a torso, they've got limbs, and they've got a head. Sometimes they got scales, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they have, some kind of different shield or sheath on the humanoid construct. Some of them have weird looking heads, but they still have a head. So
Right.
it appears that in the universe that we experience in materium has a predilection for a humanoid form.
Okay.
Now, the point that you made 2 points earlier that I think is the most important part from my perspective of trying to delineate this good and evil thing, this positive and negative, good and bad. And that is will and intent. If you have the ability to have your own sense of self, your own conscious experience within this materium, then you have, therefore, and ergo, direction over the creation that you are experiencing as a part of consciousness. So this ties back to, we in the New Age stuff in the 90s and even through the scriptures and the Abrahamic religions and theologies. There's this thing of being one with whatever it is, the Father, the God,
Right. Right.
right? You must be one with it.
One with the force.
Right. And we heard, and I participated, unfortunately, but I've since repented for my sins in the New Age monicum of you got to find the guru in you.
Right.
Be in the now, right?
I never
And
quite got that far, but I know where you're coming from.
To me, that's all bullshit. And I think it's bullshit for the following reason. One, to be one with the one and finding that is not something that you need to go do. It's something that you are. If consciousness creates everything and we are a part of consciousness, we are created from consciousness and we're experiencing this thing that we delineate as consciousness, then we're already a part of the one. There's no work. It's an awakening. It's an awareness. It's a realization. And then the other thing was, always be in the now. Good luck with that. Because you're never in the now. You're always in the next. Now is a fleeting stamp of the frequencies of
because
the
I'm in
past.
the now, but now I'm in the new now.
right? So that's all bullshit, and it's
Yeah.
confused people. So if you realize that you already are a part of the one, you are the one. You don't have to go looking for it. You just have to explore it. And two, if you realize you're never in the now, you're always in the next, because what is consciousness characteristics? It's always in motion and it's always creating more. So there's always new next, not now. It's always next.
Right.
So that's where the free will or the ability to have will, to have intent, to have an awareness to, and a curiosity and an imagination and a desire and motivation and all those other things that we experience in consciousness. We can't explain. We just know that they happen. Everybody has them in different ways and different degrees, but there isn't anything in the now that is not the next. And just to slide a little kumquat salad into this, the future and the past have merged so that the past has been unburdened by the future, because the future is now not burdened because we unburdened that which was burdened.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the kind of salad that we're being served in this political sense, as you were first talking about when you started the show. So, Jones is right. There is nefarious energies afoot that are trying to manipulate the energy fields and the frequencies that are naturally within the infinite field of frequencies that we inhabit, which makes us. It's very simple. It may sound complicated, but it's not. It's very simple. It's almost granular, which is antithetical to ontology, because granularization or particleization of reality is where our current physics and science is all screwed up. And so to them, it's all billiard balls bouncing off of each other. And
Sure.
It's gritology. That's not it. It's all frequencies and waves. It's all vibrations that are constantly in motion. And guess what? A wave is not something. It's what something does. And in order for the thing to wave, it requires both space and time. So all these people that get wound up about, well, time's an illusion. It's like, well, wait a minute. Illusion is a characteristic of consciousness. So help me out here. That doesn't make any sense. So there are nefarious energies that are trying to influence and direct through their own will and intent that we all have to drive the narrative and the direction of the energetic flow in a certain direction.
Okay.
That seems to be a natural part of our materium and our biological experience that have been written down for millennia. As Alex Jones was talking about, all of these different belief systems have all these same characteristics. They all have the story. Someone up there came down here, gave us stuff, showed us stuff, told us stuff, and might have even made our stuff.
And here's the thing. How do you quantify or qualify any of that? It's all theorizing, in the sense that how do you nail that down and say, okay, here it is. It's right here. It's right here. Look, it's written right here that this is the way the universe works. It doesn't. So we're theorizing about it. It makes sense.
It's speculation. It's all speculation, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you think the truth is, what someone has told you, what you have figured out, divined, stepped in, stepped on, fallen into, and rose out of. It's all personal speculation. There is nothing that can be definitively called the truth, other than what each one of us experiences and each one of us calls as truth for ourselves.
See, and I always bristle at that. I don't like truth is truth, but it's only dependent on your perception of it. Is there no absolute? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm looking for you to correct me. Is not. It's like the only absolute we have is that there are no absolutes anymore. So
change is the only constant.
Look at this and say this mouse is white. That's a white mouse, and generally speaking, and no matter what my perception is, or if I'm looking at this and I say, this is lavender, that color. But a colorblind person will go, no, that's mint green or whatever. Is their truth is based on their perception, but that doesn't change the actual color. Their perception is all that changes. So work with me on that. What am I thinking?
So this goes back to my other penchant and proclivity and peccadillo on the linguistics their use thereof.
Okay.
All right. Truth is not anything other than what someone feels for themselves, which is different than facts. So a fact is the sun rises and sets every day. What's my truth? My truth is maybe there's something else going on here that we're just not aware of, that appears or makes it look like it rises and sets every day. And you could create your own.
How do you qualify that?
Well, that's where it's objective truth or facts versus subjective truth. So going back to the ontological model that I mentioned, where we are all consciousness, we are the result of consciousness, we are part of consciousness, ergo we all are already a part of the one.
Okay.
There appears to be a common consciousness frequency band that we inhabit in this materium. In other words, you and I are inhabiting the same space while we're doing it over these digital toys and technology, right? We're inhabiting the same space so that we can do this. Now, what's to say that you couldn't have a paranormal experience while we're on right now that only you experienced? Say an apparition just came through the wall, and maybe it's Dave, and he stood there and looked at you for a minute, and you saw it, and you knew within yourself that that was a real experience, right?
Okay.
That would become your objective truth, your subjective truth, and an objective fact from your own perspective. That's all we all have. Everything else, the sciences, the philosophies, the theologies, the isms, and all
I'm looking at a sword sitting off my camera over there, a sword of Uncle Dave's. And so my subjective truth, let's see, the subjective truth is I'm telling you it exists. It's right over there. You can't see it.
Right.
My objective truth is that it's right there. I can see it and reach out and touch it.
It's an objective fact.
Objective fact. There you go.
So the subjective truth is your perception and your speculation, your analysis.
Everybody else's acceptance of that as being true is whether or not subjectively they believe it's actually there.
They believe you.
There you go. That's one of the best explanations I've heard on that.
So that is what we actually experience, and what Jones was yammering on about. You know, the majority of what he was saying, in my opinion, is an accurate definition of the reality we inhabit. Okay. And you have all these other new things. The one that's really getting a lot of airplay and sucking the oxygen out of the airwaves right now is the simulation theory. You know, we're basically
I don't know if I buy that, but
in some yeah. And Jones talked about that. We're creating this giant computer neural network of all this stuff, and it's like, no. That's not what's going on, in my opinion.
Matrix.
Yeah.
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon. Well, and this is what, going on 5 years ago. I actually, in my timeline, a couple of shows that you and Rocky and I did back 5 years ago about the informatica.
Yes.
And the metrics in the matrix. Because that, to me, is what it actually is. It's all a bunch of metrics, and those metrics are delineated and defined and given distinction by the way that we speculate on the reality that we observe.
And so the speculative of that is somebody created that. Somebody put that into play. Does that happen on its own? With our understanding of science, can that create itself? No, it's a matrix. It's a metrics, if you will.
Metrics in the matrix
have been put into play.
Everything that we observe has been given a name, a definition, a set of characteristics and parameters and specs based on how we have put some kind of measurement on the shit that we observe. That's all it is. And so it's like the difference between the imperial measurement system and the metric system. That's just somebody going, okay, it used to be based on anatomical averages, right? That's why you have a foot, and everything's were so many hands high and all that. Because there is an average, even though there's a lot of difference and expressions of hands and feet. Some are very large, some are very small. And by the way, just to dispel the rumor, the nose and the foot thing is not always accurate, folks.
Look how big that hand is compared to my head.
There are anomalies outside of what you've been told.
That's right.
So, the whole idea of, and we talked about this on our after show last night. The first show was Polly Want a Cracker, and the theme of the show was the Mockingbird media.
Okay.
People keep calling it lamestream, mainstream, legacy, all this. To me, it needs a new reframe. Just like brainwashing is not what's going on; it's actually brain staining that's been happening, and it needs a good brain washing. So this whole idea of what's going on with the media and the use of persuasion in words and language, which I think Susie mentioned earlier in the chat, vocabulary, yes. The words and their use and their positioning and their repetition is something that is just, it's in overdrive. We've never seen it to the level we're seeing it now. And I think there's purposeful intent and reason behind cranking up the linguistic linguini and trying to make people think one thing when they should be thinking about something else, or it's not what they're being told. It's the exact opposite. And we're seeing that in spades. So
let me say good morning to Terry Pitts. It says Robert, but it's Terry. Terry Pitts, how you doing? Good to see you here, brother.
So, yeah, Roger says wearing tinfoil hats help with the brain stains. Yes. And
yes.
This is another example of, the conspiracy theorists, the people that think outside the box. Our show previous to last night was the rise of the independent investigators, content creators, and so forth. And this whole event with the assassination is a ginormous, spectacular example of how the rise of the independents have just completely taken over, because there's more data that was captured in the telemetry of the mobile and the digital devices at that event of that magnitude than ever in history.
By the way, that's all right, Terry Pitts. Just good to have you here.
So what's happening is, before the packaged narrative, the carefully crafted and curated package of crap from the media, from the intelligentsia, from the government officials and all of that. That's kind of all we had. And we had to do with that what we could to discern, decipher, and figure out what the hell's going on.
Right.
Over the last 5 years in particular, boy, have the independents, like what we're doing right here, stepped up and said, hey, I got some other information. I've got another perspective. I've speculated on this. I've done some analyzation on it, and I've got something to share. And when you look at all the cancel culture crap that happened and the Me Too, I love the whole hashtag, or what we called £, Me Too irony. It was like, pound Me Too. What are you guys, are you thinking about what you're doing here at all? You might want to stop and have a rethink.
Right.
But the cancel culture, look how effective it was, or they thought it was, by shutting down. Interestingly, fact checkers didn't start showing up until the truth and the other facts started coming out. But they tried to shut down all these folks. Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, Russell Brand, Roseanne Barr.
Yeah.
They hurt them hard. What's happened? They're back bigger and badder than ever.
Bounce back bigger and better than ever.
And that's because they've gone independent. They got outside the stream. They crossed out of the stream, if you
Yeah.
will. So the things like we're talking about, what you played with Alex Jones and this whole consciousness thing and good and bad, wicked people, and are they steering a narrative? Yes, we're seeing that right now, but we're seeing it implode because of its own inept, incompetent bullshit. These people can't think past, they can't think forward, they can't do a plan B. I think this whole what's happened at the assassination event up until that point, those that have been trying to silence the Don have learned that Don is full of Teflon because everything they've thrown at him has not stuck. Just yesterday or Friday, there was one of the court cases was finally tossed out because of the immunity, and they said, "Not sorry, we're throwing that one."
Uh-oh. We got a little glitch in your matrix.
Yeah, all the rest of
There you
them are, are probably going down. But my point is that once they got through all this stuff, they tried to legalize lawfare. They tried to do all kinds of criminal crap and tried to bankrupt him. And they said, well, shit, none of that's working. We might as well take him out.
Yeah.
So they tried to take him out. And they set it up so easily with all the shit that we're seeing. It was a layup because they had everybody in some level of discombobulation to make it so easy. And it didn't work.
Yeah.
It failed. So what we're seeing, I think, especially we've got 3 weeks now after this thing. Last night we played some of the hearings that Senator John Kennedy was hitting up the new acting director, asking him questions. And this guy was a bumbling idiot.
Yes.
And what we're seeing, I think, is they felt that the assassination attempt was their last ditch. You get that done and you're golden for whatever you think you're trying to do. It failed. They didn't have a plan B. They are scrambling like nobody's business. And they're trying to figure out, oh shit, we didn't plan on this not failing. So we're seeing this obfuscation, this denial, this misdirection. And the same thing is happening with the language, going back to that. Have you noticed?
I have.
That right after it's been over the last couple of weeks here, remember how it was, it was all about Trump as Hitler.
Yep.
Right. We can't let Hitler in to run the country because we all know how bad that bastard was. And, basically, if you had the chance and you were back there in Hitler's time and you had the opportunity and awareness,
the age-old,
we know what this guy's going to do. And so we're going to take him out and avoid that. Well, that same mentality is what they've been using with this Hitler moniker.
Yes.
So, and so they've been using it ad nauseum, and then all of a sudden there's an assassination attempt, and it didn't work, and now they're sitting back going, "Oh shit, maybe we should back off on that a little bit because that could incite somebody to go nuts and go do violence." I know, get a better idea. Let's switch from Hitler to weird.
Yeah. That didn't work very well, did it? Because weird is usually a positive. Hey, Professor Bauer, you're as weird as they come.
Hey, I got weird. I got a T-shirt with a big ass W on it, man.
Yep.
It looks like Superman. I'm weird.
Well, they just gave the whole Trump supporting crowd a new T-shirt. Is what
right. And all you need is some amazingly obvious video and sound bites of them in their own words.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to have forgotten that recording what you've said and what the interweb, it is captured. It is something that is, hey, I think one of the best things that the Trump campaign can do going forward prior to the September 4th, if she gets to it, All I got to do is just play clips of her talking. It worked with Joe.
That's it.
Right?
Yep.
So I think that, right now there's the Harris honeymoon, and the sliding away of Sloppy Joe. And it has been so blatant, so fast that you see, and this is why we call the show the Polly Want a Cracker.
Yes.
Because the Mockingbird media has just, they turned on a dime. They are in march and lockstep, and they're trying to run down this cover our ass situation because they
Yes.
did not have a plan B. They didn't expect this stuff to happen. They didn't expect, not only did they miss and not take out Trump, they made him into a damn martyr. They made him into a statue. They made him into, even Zuckerberg's going,
what's this at Donald Trump? Was this, again, you don't know it's fake anymore unless you look into it. Donald Trump, I heard somebody was playing on the news of him having had that Zuckerberg called him. And there was a back, it was Donald Trump talking about it. They didn't have a recording of the call, but Trump was saying he called me and he said he's going to stop all this negative stuff, allowing it on his platform.
Well, Zuckerberg was interviewed and he just said it. I played the clip on our show. And he just says, look, I did some stuff in the previous election that I'm not going to do this time. I'm not going to support anybody. He says, but seeing Trump get shot in the face and then stand up, he says, that's one of the most badass things I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and that turned him a little bit. And Trump talked about it and said he called me more than once after the shooting, and to check in on me, to see that I was okay, to apologize. And I thought that was fantastic. That's pretty cool.
Well, so trying to tie some of this back to your Alex Jones and the consciousness thing. Consciousness is always in motion. It's got a fluidic nature to it. It's just constantly moving. It's waves and frequencies and vibrations that are cycles within cycles. And when you are aware of that, then you can focus your will and your intent to manipulate those frequencies. It's the whole mind over matter thing, right?
Yes.
So that's a part, again, of the nature of the consciousness we inhabit. How and the why, go pick from thousands.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's your observation of how it actually manifests and unfolds. How does it actually work? That's all we've got to go on. And
it does.
Well, the folks that be are about to be the folks that were, because their entire shit that they have been pushing from an agenda and a perspective of trying to manipulate everything has just failed spectacularly.
Right.
We're seeing a complete, abject, inept, incompetent execution of a will and intent that those that had that perspective tried to impose on the rest of us.
Well, what do you think is going to happen? Where do you think? Let's get down to just the practical level that everybody wants to know. What's going to happen as a result of all this? Where do you think the election's going to go?
It could go a couple of different ways, but I'm leaning towards this. Well, let me start with the one way that I think it could go, most likely based on current course and speed and past performance, is that there will be another attempt to change the results. It will be potentially where it looks like, okay, this is 2020 all over again. Trump's leading, and then all of a sudden they shut down the count, and then when they come back on, it's completely changed. Right. I mean, you can't be you can't have, forget about your political ideologies. You can't look at that and go, well, there's nothing nefarious going on there. I mean, that's
Right.
just abject stupidity and ignorance. But oh shit! All right,
I think he heard you say abject stupidity and ignorance.
hold on. Let me.
You were saying something about what can be unburdened by what was. Is that what you were
Unburdened
saying?
by what was.
Well, yeah,
And
what's burdening right now is your audio sucks. So
sorry, I'm in the car, man.
anyway, Scotty asked me what I think is going to happen. I'll finish it off, and then you can have the car or the floor or the seat, whatever you're on.
Yeah. We'll turn it over to you.
So I think what's going to happen is what is a likely outcome is they'll try to rig it again, and it will be there's so many people watching all of the nefarious shit that was uncovered from the last time that they're not going to be able to get away with it. They're going to have to pull some serious shenanigans because there's way too many people watching way too many of the things that were way too questionable in the last time. So if they turn around and they say, okay, yeah, kumquat one, and there are people going, really? You want here, take a look at this, look over here, you want some of that, and it could go to an adjudicated election results a la 2000 with Gore and Bush.
Right.
But it will be so blatant. It'll be so blatantly corrupted and fucked with that people will go, well, I'm sorry. Yeah, you guys, this is the last pooch you get to screw. Okay.
And it's kind of like Trump says as one of their taglines, too big to rig. It's like the election would have to be too big in either direction for people to be able to question it. So,
well, that's
but
what
then
I
again,
think.
Joe Biden got an awfully big score last time, and we go, really? I always loved Joe Pags. If you ever listen to him, radio, he said there's so many things he puts up, and he goes, remember, folks, 86 million votes. And that's all you got to say. Yep, here's your 86 million votes.
So to answer your question, which you just said, and I agree with, I think that the most likely outcome is it will be too big to rig. I think it will be Trump. I think that the red wave that we thought was coming in 2020 is going to show up this time.
Yeah.
And it will be so overwhelming that it will be part of the last gasp of what has been known as the Democratic Party. I think it will be a complete collapse of that ideology that will take at least a decade to be rebuilt. I think that I mentioned this on the show last night. Did you guys notice we're having kind of a coup d'etat deux? You notice how they tried to take out Trump, and then they took out Sloppy Joe. Right, on both sides, the main guys are the targets. It seems like there was two coups in one.
Yeah,
and so we talked about, well, is that two different teams? Is it multiple teams? What's going on here? Because there's a clear intent to take out the top political entities and leaders right when there's about time to pick a new one. Now, Kumquat doesn't have a chance. Not only is her ethnicity and her selective use thereof a big problem that Trump, I got to give Trump some kudos. That brother went into the den. BJ. I'm going NABJ. What? BJ, tell me more. I want to know more about what this BJ thing is. Turned out to be black journalists.
Oh, yeah.
He goes in there with a swinging 35-pound gold nuggets of nads and just goes right into the den and not only calls them out for being assholes, but says, somebody needs to ask this question. Is she black? Is she Indian? Because for a while she was in San Francisco running this, she was all embracing the Indian thing. And there's tons of video of her actually doing that.
Yes.
So it's not in dispute. It can't be disputed. Now, all of a sudden, she's using black when she's got less black in her than anything else. Father's Jamaican, British,
Well, he was making
mothers
the
from
point that
India and a
he's an
caste system.
opportunist.
I mean, so that's one issue. And so now, because Trump went in and dropped that sack of nuggets on the table, they're all scrambling, having to defend it or having to dismiss it. They can't dismiss it without explaining.
Well, here's the
why they're
problem.
dismissing it.
It's like with my own sister, which again, if you're listening, I don't mean anything personal. You know, I love you. I'm just using it as an example. They don't want to think any deeper than that. They are presented information, and then the left will come back to what Trump might say, and she'll immediately go, well, there's the explanation. Donald Trump is a narcissist. And so they don't want to look any deeper. Therefore, they will never see any deeper.
Well, they're going to have to, because the turd's been tossed on the table, and somebody's got to find the clean end and get it off the table. And the only people that are going to do that are the people that don't want the turd there, but they have to deal with it. But I think the real issue that's to me is the social clap and clatter and flotsam and jetsam that people are, I'll get that all up in my mind and get worked up about it. The real issue is eligibility.
Yes.
She is a naturalized citizen, not natural born. Natural born is specifically called out in the Constitution.
What, Jason?
Is there?
You got words?
You're breaking up there, Jay.
Say that again, brother.
Where's with her being naturalized versus either sans-soli or sans-julie citizen? Where's the naturalization thing? I have looked for that and I haven't been able to find shit about it.
My point exactly. The whole idea of the eligibility.
I haven't been able to find shit about being naturalized versus being. There's nothing out there showing it.
Jason, you're breaking up so bad I can't quite understand you.
Yeah, Jason, you're breaking up, buddy. We can't understand.
Way bad. I can't really catch what you're saying, brother. We'll keep you on there though, and you can listen.
Yeah, mute his ass.
Yeah, I'm going to mute you for a second.
Good grief, that's annoying as shit. So,
do you hear what he just said to you, Jason?
That's annoying as shit. So,
it's the driving thing.
So, to me, the real issue is the eligibility, and creeping up to that is going to be this somebody trying to find the clean end of the turd that Teflon dropped on the table.
Yes,
and then there's the whole record thing. I mean, there is nothing but a vacuous dump. There's nothing in there. Well, there's stuff in there, but it's a bunch of turds. It's terrible. And so that is going to continue to pound away.
That's
so the
like
eligibility, the
my own
ethnicity,
family, my own sister. Are you looking at her record? Where does she stand? Fine, you like all this social stuff. Where does she stand on the economy, the border, and inflation and immigration? Tell me, what are her policies? What's her foreign policy? What's her policy on China? What's her policy on North Korea? What's her policy on XYZ? You get it.
Can you see her sitting down with the Poot?
No.
He would. I mean, can you see her sitting down with Ping?
And it's not because I'm a racist and a misogynist.
Well, you need to stop worrying about that, Scotty. I swear.
I don't worry about that at all.
Well, my point is that I've gotten to the point where I'm not apologizing about what I say anymore. I don't care if somebody gets offended and triggered because I've said something that has offended and triggered them. If they're offended and triggered, that simply means to me they've got some unresolved issues they need to go fix.
And by the
If you
way, I
can't-
just said to people, the only comeback I have for that, I said is, you think I'm a misogynist and a racist? Let's put Tulsi Gabbard up against Kamala Harris and see where that goes.
would rip her a new slot.
Rip her to shreds.
So we are at the rise of the pissed off peeps. The pissed off peeps have been propelled by the ability to have ubiquitous, simultaneous, instantaneous connection around the globe via all this tech that we are currently engaged with and
Me
using.
too, Lucky Stone, by the way. I'd pay to see that debate. Hopefully it happens on September 4th.
It'll kind
is
of
my
like
audio any better?
Much
No.
better now that you're home.
no, you sound like shit.
shut up,
Put him back
Professor.
on mute.
Professor wants you muted. He says you don't sound good.
At least until I'm done in the next hour, you can have the floor, Jay.
No. I have to interject.
I'm done in 4 minutes. So
I have to interject something here that didn't come through.
okay.
Oh shit.
I don't like Kamala Harris at all. My thing will always be, no matter how much I like, dislike, hate, abhor, whatever, any particular political individual, any private individual, okay, I will always default to, we have an absolute duty, no matter what we feel about them, to maintain absolute integrity in what we say
Yes.
and accuracy in what we say, because to do anything less makes us worse than them.
Yeah.
So, can you, Professor, show me the documentation, the everything showing that Harris is a naturalized citizen versus being born under either Sansoli or Sanjuli soil or blood criteria for citizenship? I just, because the first time you mentioned that, I was like, hold on, wait. If that's the case, then it's a no-brainer. So I start looking and trying to find anything about it. Okay. So in the absence of proof, Prof.
Well,
proof is in the prof.
a la Prof.
The proof is in the prof.
If the thing is in the absence of proof, it's speculation, and therefore it's a nothing burger until it is either proven to be correct or it's proven to be false.
Agreed.
So, do you have that information showing that she has citizenship via naturalization through the normal naturalization processes, or she has it through birth, either here within the borders of the United States or born to an American citizen
and
abroad?
folks, that's where we have to leave it until next episode, where you find
Boom!
out Professor Bauer's answer. No, go
Now
ahead,
that's
Nancy.
the tease that even gave me tingles. I got a tingle up my leg with that one, Scotty.
You know, I kind of
I
look
just
at,
came in here to sow chaos and truth. So,
I remember when Trump was pushing the birth and citizenship, the birther thing
with Obama, right?
And everybody keeps coming out against him on that, but they all forget where that's sourced. That was Hillary Clinton's thing, and Trump picked it up. So
What's
Hillary
that?
Clinton
I
started
didn't
the
realize
birth
that
thing.
Hillary had anything to have. Shit,
Well,
the number of people the Clintons have killed over the years.
Yeah.
Did I say that out loud?
They got a body count that is like unrivaled. But Scotty, and I think that you just intentionally or unintentionally just brought in the answer to Jason's question about the whole birth thing. Okay. So to answer your question, Jason, no, I do not.
Right.
But I do not have that documentation. But what will prove it is the birth certificate.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, is
right? Now, hold on.
Making an assertion of something without proof.
But
that's
how do we know that
easy
the
to,
Clintons didn't give
we all do
you
that
thing that Trump picked up, like with Obama? You know, that's the thing, though, because people are born every day to American citizens abroad.
Okay,
all right,
all right.
or in the
All right,
stateside,
stop. Hold
which
on a
makes
second.
them American citizen. People are born
Hold on.
every day within the confines of our borders, thus sensibly making them American citizens. So
That's different in the Constitution, which I know you've read, and you know wherever I speak. It has to be a natural citizen, natural born, not naturalized. Number
right,
one.
and
Number
that's what
two.
I'm saying.
Number
Is there-
two. There is. Let me give you an example of proof that I have seen and I have done myself.
Okay.
You remember when Bumble got in and the whole thing about the birth certificate and it was a big deal?
Yep.
Yep.
So I went to the White House website and I downloaded said certificate. And I put it into Photoshop. This is going on what, 12 years ago now?
Yeah.
And I turned on layers. That son of a bitch was a mocked up, made up mess that was done with just sloppily. So to me, is that proof?
Can you show us the layers?
Oh yeah.
Cool. Can you make a video on one of your things of like, here's the layering of the document that I actually downloaded from the White House.
There's a bunch of them already out there by a whole bunch of people.
You know what? I'm going to tell you guys this, being the Photoshop and digital guru that I am with my business.
And you certainly are.
I could create any document and make it look as real as possible.
And if you have the special printing capabilities to put the holographic markers to do anything like that, you can do anything.
To replicate that. I don't have the ability to print an actual hologram. Although if I had the equipment, I could.
You could. Yeah.
So
all I'm saying is that until proof comes out one way or the other, and quite frankly, I'll be honest, Prop, you're the only person I have ever heard say that.
Well, you need to expand your feeds, brother.
Here we go. Now the professor will talk about the limited knowledge and experience that Jason Patrick has.
He's clearly living in a silo.
Clearly. And you know, I got to leave it on that because I've got to go today. I've got things I got to do this morning yet. I got to go pick up my son at the racetrack. He's been off gambling so we can pay our debts this month.
Oh, shit.
And no, he's
did he go into did he get a good horse?
Dirt NASCAR track we have up there. He goes up and does cleanup on.
Hey, you can bet on cars. It doesn't have to be horses or dogs. You can bet on cars. Come on, man.
That's right. That's right. So I'm all for him working. But like with most 14-year-olds, maybe it's the parenting is bad or something. But, you know, like yesterday, he went and worked at the race car track, selling tickets for raffles and stuff. And then they do the raffle and they get a cut. He came home with $156.
Nice.
It's like
good money for a day's work.
And then he went and got himself one of those Visa cards at the gas station, the prepaid ones, so he could buy some things online. All gone in an hour.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's fine. So he wasn't going to work today, but then he goes, I should go work today because I need some more money. But he bought a bunch of anime.
It's a great life lesson if he learns it.
Manga books.
Yeah.
And something else. I can't remember what else he said. Some other purchase, but so
you ought to drop the bug in his ear to like squirrel away at least a quarter of that.
That's what and he doesn't work regularly.
Yeah.
The only kid of mine that works regularly that lives at home is my 9-year-old who does her poo patrol.
Yeah.
And she's still got, she didn't go out and spread it all over the neighborhoods like she could have. I encouraged her to do that. I could still bring her out for the last few weeks of summer and get her some more jobs.
Wait. Did you say poo patrol or poo spread?
Poo patrol.
Spreading flyers, Prof. Come on, man.
Around the neighborhood, and I'm thinking, wait a minute. Are
spreading the word of her poo patrol. Yeah, she picks up dog poop. And for a 9-year-old to get there's one consistent customer of hers every 2 weeks. A woman who's just slightly older than I am, but about the same generation. Widow. And she's got a big piece of land with a big 1.5 acre yard that's got woods through it and everything. And She has Ellie come out every 2 weeks for $60 and pick up dog poop.
Nice.
And so, and then other yards, $20 because it's a little,
Now,
old
have you started?
with an 8x10 yard.
Have you started dropping the hint to her to, hey, squirrel away a little bit of that?
Well, our requirement for her at the beginning of summer,
Hmm.
50% of everything you make goes into your bank account. Rainey took her and set up a savings account. So
Awesome.
everything she makes, 50% goes right into the bank account. And then she's got 50% to do with what she wants.
And then look, by the time she hits high school, like, even before then, junior
Yep.
high, have her start investing. I went to high school, my junior year, I went to high school with this kid. He was in my computer class.
See you,
And
Scott Allen.
he invested in satellite radio.
Oh,
And that was when he was 4. We were what?
nice.
15, 16, something like that, 17, somewhere in that range. And he's investing. He's like, yeah, I took a look at it and I realized, this is probably the way things are going. So I just decided to set up something and invest in it. And God only knows where that guy is now with that investment. I hope he did good things with it.
Yeah.
But, that's so many things I wish I would have done earlier on.
Same here. I didn't have
Yeah.
anybody ever tell me how to. My mom didn't know how to invest. That wasn't her thing. She was a waitress learning how to survive as a single mom with 3 kids. She didn't know how to teach us about investing.
Yeah.
So hopefully I can teach my kids. My son is still we used to have a foul word for it that you can't use the word anymore, but he is momentarily rich whenever he gets his money. And it's
Right.
like, I'm taking my friends out. We're going to go buy soda pops and pizza. It's like, son, sit on some of that. Now,
Yeah.
Ellery is the other way around. Whenever we go somewhere, Dad, can I come with? I want to buy this and that. I go, hey, I'm not buying for everybody. She goes, I got my own money.
Right.
From a 9-year-old, you're like, that's what I like to hear. My 9-year-old, I got my own money. I got my own money.
Oh, yeah.
Dad. I don't need that.
That's fantastic.
So it's good. Anyway, we're going to have to leave at that note because I got to go get my son very quickly here from the racetrack. And you two, it's good to have you.
It's good to be
It
had.
feels like old times. Why old times? We haven't done it for a week.
Yeah,
So-
no, you've been MIA a few times. I've been like,
MIA
oh
a
man,
couple
what's
times
going
in the
on?
last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
just
in
too
light
much
of in
going
light
on.
of your absence of providing us airtime, I've gone ahead and done 5 hours of content.
What did you
because-
say yesterday when I couldn't make Friday?
Oh, I said since Scotty can't deliver.
Yeah, that was it. Since Scotty can't deliver, he writes in my
shit.
where'd I put that? I got to read it to you. I got to
That's
read you what he
funny.
said. Because I put up, folks, no show tonight, and Professor comes in and says, since Scotty won't deliver, join the Geezer Geeks tomorrow night at 10 p.m. So there it is.
And that's what we
shit.
did. We
And
dropped
That's great.
3.5 hours last night, 2 hours of pre-recorded and an hour and a half of after show. And we've
I
been
will
doing
tell
that.
you,
Been doing really
I'm just
well.
going to tell you that nobody in a couple ever likes to admit, because everybody in a couple, a marriage, both of you can attest to this. How come I have to do all the work? You don't do anything. And the other guy goes, I'm always working. That's all I do. I work, I pick up, my back hurts. I'm going to be in traction when I'm 70 for all the times I bend over to pick up everybody else's stuff. So
I tell you what,
couples, but there is a
tell you
truth
what.
in between there.
I've got some really, really good, great news along the same lines that the professor has brought up in this whole theme. For our listening and viewing audience, guys, I have, over the last week, not recorded 5 hours of content to bludgeon you over the head with.
I have not done that. I just wanted you to know. I want to be clear. I have not engaged in 5 hours of recording.
Well, I appreciate your lack of effort and expression, Jason, and all of us appreciate your
I
inability to
still
drop
love.
five hours.
I do it. I do it
Reagan's
for you
response
guys.
to
I do
Mondale.
it for you guys.
I still love Reagan's response to Mondale in the debate in
I will not
1980.
allow
I
my opponent's age.
I will not exploit my opponent for his
Inexperience.
his age and his youth and inexperience.
Yes.
That was probably
was-
one of the best comebacks I have ever heard in a debate ever.
And it was comical, and Mondale even laughed, and everybody
yeah.
laughed.
That's how you know you're doing good with that stuff, is when your opponent laughs at it.
Yep.
We need to strive more towards that.
Well,
Hey, kid, shut up over there.
on the way
You hear
out.
that?
No. On the way out, I will leave you gents with a question about relating to the Olympics that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've
Over
got
here in
all
the
kinds of stuff going on that, you know, with the Olympics and whatever. But at the end of the day, it's not about the pageantry. It's about the performance and the competition and the nations and the ethnicity and all the shit that they don't want to talk about properly. But I heard that there was this new rule in apparently a new sport that I had never heard of. And when I heard them explain it, I went,
Badminton?
no. So the rule is an extremely wet exit from the.
Oh, and then he fritzes
He
out.
freezes. Oh God, that
Okay.
So say that again.
The rule is what sport does this happen in? It's an extremely wet exit from the cockpit.
luge.
Nope.
Some sort of boating.
You're getting close.
Kayaking.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the new one is the kayak chase, which is apparently a new event. I knew kayaking had been in, but
Yeah.
these where four guys jump off and they go into the rapids and go. So an extremely wet exit from the cockpit is what happens when you go into a roll and you get ejected from the cockpit. So it's called an extremely wet exit from the cockpit. Now, there's one other thing that can happen.
I thought that was called rodeo sex.
Well, Clay last night said, well, it happens a lot when you're 17.
When you're in the Mile High Club.
Right.
Something like that.
And the other one that I'll leave you with is she got her shaft stuck in the middle of her cinnamon roll.
Archery.
Is this a sport?
This is something that you get flagged with if you are in this sport and it happens to you. So you get it. She got her shaft stuck in the middle of her cinnamon roll. What do you think's going on there?
Was it vernacular being used
Javelin
there, or
throw?
is this
Pole
actual
vaulting?
terminology for the?
Yes, this is out of
particular-
the rule books. This is both of these.
See, she did a double tumble into her cinnamon roll, but the shaft got stuck, so we had to. I don't know which one.
So again, kayak chase.
Oh,
And this describes, the kayak chase is kind of like downhill.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like downhill racing. They got the points and the flags you got to pass and go through. So apparently, getting your shaft stuck in your cinnamon roll is what happens when you're doing that roll, and you've got your paddleboard, right? It's got a shaft.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're doing that cinnamon roll and your shaft gets stuck in your cockpit, which is in the middle of your cinnamon roll, they deduct you. So you get deductions for getting your shaft stuck in your cinnamon roll and possibly having an extremely wet exit from the cockpit.
From your cockpit.
That's incredible. I'd never even heard any of that stuff. And the fact that we are not discussing this and we are entirely too focused on the Imane Khalif boxing match, and then also it is incredible. And you know what else is interesting that we're not talking about, and it's a serious indicator of where our priorities are, and honestly, our research capabilities or understanding of science and genetics, and that's a different thing. Steven van der Velde, convicted child rapist, is on the Norwegian men's volleyball team.
Yep.
Openly serving, and everybody wants to worry about the other things. Nobody wants to gripe about that. We have some skewed priorities. So
we do. And we will talk about some of those tomorrow, because I got to go. You two, great points. I'm not diminishing them by saying we got to go. I watch some news shows where they got some guy that's talking head that's, he's the boss of this whole concept, and they're talking and he's going and going and going. They go, well, thank you, Bob, for being here. We got to go to break now. So that's kind of what we're doing here now. For all
that's exactly what it was earlier with my comment to Prof. And we got to go.
Patrick, for all the greatness that is you two, we got to go.
Right.
So thanks for being here, guys.
Always a pleasure.
See you maybe tomorrow night.
Thanks.
Take care.
All right. Bye. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here today. I got to go because we're overtime and I got to get my butt out of here. So all of you, thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow, Wednesday, Friday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time for the Intrepid Radio program. So all of you, have a good Sunday. Live long and prosper.